Hello, Rob White here with Interspec Software. Today we're going to pick up from our previous video of define report types. So from our settings screen, we're going to click on report types, select our report that we created in the previous video, and now we're going to go to the Layout tab. The Layout tab has 4 sub-tabs underneath it. One is Page Setup, Title Page, Table of Contents, and Inspection Report. Page Setup defines your page size that you're going to use. In this case, we have it set to letter, which will give you an 8.5 by 11. Also, you can set your margins of where you want your text to start. The Headers and Footer tab does not pertain to this box at this point because we're setting page headers and footers on the main screen. You can set columns if you want. Select the number of columns. And you also have a Frame tab where I can put a border around this title page. And you do that just like you do with under Microsoft Word or Excel. We have these same options. So I have this one set to box. I put the line with it 2.0 so it would stand out more. And I gave it a line color. You can also set the distances from the edge of the paper. So right now I've got this one set at 0.2 all the way around and measuring from edge of page. At any time after you change a setting and you want to see what it looks like, you hit the preview button so you have a preview of how your page is going to look as you design it. In the note area of the page header and page footer, you can enlarge these by selecting the margin divider. Put your cursor over to the right until it turns. You'll see your arrow turn to 2 sideways arrows. Hold your left mouse button down and you can drag that border to give you more working space. And the same with the bottom margin divider. I can select it and drag it down. So now I have a larger working area to work on my page header. On this layout page, the only thing that we're changing for this report title page is the page header and page footer and the borders around it. The information that's in the middle of the layout, that is changed under inspection items and report title page. And once you change it, then you can save it. We'll give an example of that later on. With the page header, you can put any information in here that you want. If you're going to add a logo to the top of this, then you need to create a table first. If you have a logo, in order to put text information next to it, you have to insert the table. Otherwise, the text would come below your logo. So to do that, we can right-click in this area, go down and select Insert, and select Table. Tables are defined just the way you do in Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. I can select the number of columns. So in this case, I'm going to insert 2 logos and some text. So I want 3 cells, and I would just need 1 row. And I say OK, and I now have my 3 cells in my table that I just created. To select this, to modify it, if I want to add margins to these 3 cells, then again, just like you do in Microsoft Word, you click on the first one, you can drag across and highlight them all, and then right-click. Do a Format Table. So right now the table, when it's defined, has no borders. So when your report prints, all it's going to see is the logo, the text that you put in without borders. If you wanted to do borders so it prints around that information, then again you select the type of border that you want. You can increase the line width so it stands out more, and you could also give it a line color. I can also give the background a different color. So if I wanted to make this, I'm going to give it a bright color. If I wanted to make it yellow, I can say OK. And now if I do a preview, I now have my yellow 3 cells. If I want to set a margin so that my text isn't right butting up against the edge of the cell. Then I have cell margins, and I can come in and set the cell margin so I have a certain distance, and I'll set all of these to 0.025. So now when I insert my information, it has a little bit of space between the edge of the cell. So let's say I want to put my logo of the company first. Any of these tabs that I have open right now, if they're not pinned open, it's just like in Interspect, they're going to be listed over here on the side. I've already got my photos pinned open. To add a photo, you need to upload those first into Global Photos. Anything that does not pertain to a category, I put those in unassigned. So here under unassigned, I have my company logo, and here I've got an ASHI logo. So I'll select my company logo and insert it. And again, this comes in at the size of whatever you save this as. It's a little too large right now. It's a little over 2 1/4 inches. I don't want it quite that large on my title page. So I can click on it, grab a corner, and take it down to the size that I want. Now I can take this cell margin and move it over to increase this area that I'm going to use for my text. I have another cell, and this one I'm going to insert. Put your cursor in the cell, and maybe I want to put my ASHI logo in it. Of course, you see it's too large. I'm going to do the same thing. Drag that corner, and then move my cell over to give myself as much room as possible. And maybe in the middle, I'm going to put my company information. My company information, maybe I want that centered. And I'm going to give it a larger font size. And reduce it for the next couple of lines. Now I could have just as easy put in using my report fields to auto-populate this if I wanted to. So I could bring up my report fields. I'm going to select my company address and insert it. Select the city, add a space, select state, put a space in, and then add my zip code. I can add my phone number, my email, and my company website. So now I've built my header. Take a look at what it looks like. I can grab my margin divider again, drag this back over so I can see my page layout, and hit preview. So now I have my header information. And I can do the same thing with my page footer. Come down and grab my margin divider at the bottom, bring it back up. Slide my right margin over. And maybe on the bottom of the report, I want my report number in a table. And I want 3 pieces of information. So I want the report number, and again I'm going to go back to my report fields, select my inspection number and insert it. Put in my property address. And maybe who inspected it. Let's drag my divider back over. Do a preview. And now I have my footer defined. So let's go see what this looks like when you go to do a report. I'm going to go to the home page. We're going to select New. And I'm going to go ahead and just enter some information in so we can populate these fields. Right now, you're testing this, make sure that you select the right template. My default right now is coming up to the Trek form. So since I made that change on a new CREA form, I need to go select that. Anytime you change a template, you're going to get this warning message that you're about to change the template, and it's going to erase any information that is under inspection items. So be careful with this. You don't want to have done an inspection and then go and change the report layout. Pull up report title page. This is one I created before, so I'm going to do a reset first from my report type. Now here's the one I just created. You'll see my company address and all is going to pick up the information from the order form. So to see if it worked, I can do a show values. And now it's replaced all that information automatically for me. Here's my client information, a new report number, my property address, and who inspected it. So here I've got my property addresses kind of running together. So I may want to move that left margin of the middle cell and bring it back over further. Now to use this template going forward for all new inspections, you'll want to click on Copy To and click both. If I create a new inspection, be sure you go in and make sure you select the correct report. Select report title page, and I now have my template that I created, and it will go for all new inspections. So now that we finished the report header and footer for our report title page, let's go take a look at our table of contents. We'll go back to settings, select our CREA report, go back to layout, and since I'm still on my title page here, I'm going to go ahead and adjust this property address and move it over so that it will show up correctly the next time we do this report. Let's select table of contents. You notice we have a page header, page footer, just like on the title page. We have our margin divider, so we can open this up to work on it. And maybe at the top of my table of contents, I want to put in my report number, my property address, and the date. I can do that one of two ways. I can do it without a table, and I can just type that information in. insert my inspection number. And I could use the tab keys. Insert my property address. Use my tab keys and insert the date. And do a preview. I now have the information put in the header at the top of my table of contents. I can also create a table and I want 3 pieces of information, so I'm going to create 3 columns, 1 row, and do the same thing move my divider over. And put my date in the last field. I can also put a bottom border so it's separated by highlighting all 3 cells. Right-click and do Format. Select the bottom border. Increase the line width and say OK. And now when I preview it, I now have a same information, except it's in a cell this time. I can also put a background color. Again, highlight all 3 columns, right-click, select background color, and click Preview. And I can add a page footer very much the same way. The last item on table of contents is the indentation for your table of contents. If you don't specify an indentation, everything will be left justified. So we give you up to 3 levels. The first level is going to be the major systems. Second level is inspection items. And the third level is the room that the comments are associated with. So level 1, I want to leave it left justified. Level 2, I want to indent it 0.2, and level 3, I'm going to give it a couple of more, and we'll make that a 0.4. Now when I preview, I have my major systems, my inspection items, and my room identifier. So to see how that looks, we'll go back to Home, select the inspection I was working on, created some rooms and added some comments so that we could see it on the table of contents when it prints. So we'll do a report view. And now I have my report header that I created, report number, my address, and the date of the inspection. Here's my major systems. I indent for my inspection items, and my third indentation is for the room. Now the final tab we're going to look at is the inspection report tab. So let's go back to settings. Select our report that we've been working on. Go back to layout. And we'll select the inspection report tab. I'm going to close down some of these windows so we can open this up a little bit further. There's a scroll bar on the right side, so you want to scroll this back up to the top. And here, same as the first two tabs, we have a page header and a page footer that we can place on our inspection report. And you do that the same as we did on the first two. I can insert a table, select how many columns I want, number of rows, and maybe I want my report number. Remember to slide your table separator over to give you more room. Put in my property address. We have the slider bar that you can move this over. Move my right boundary and insert my inspection date. And again, I can give this a background color by highlighting all three cells. And I could put a bottom border on it to separate it. Do my print preview. Now this preview runs a little bit longer because what it's doing is it's taking all the report definitions that you defined and it's actually showing you every page that with your major systems and inspection items on it. And maybe at the bottom of my page footer, I want to put the inspector's name. And you can see at the bottom of my report, my bottom footer. Now on page header and page footer, remember I can change the font, my font size. I can bold, italicize, underline. I can center it. So I can change the color of the font. I can put in background color. So you still have all of those options. If I scroll down my inspection report tabs here, we have a feature called a watermark. Let's say you're a InterNACHI member or an ASHI member, and you want the ASHI logo as a background watermark. So I can come in and browse to wherever I have that stored and select it. And I can give the transparency. If I want it really light, then I can bring my slider bar for transparency way low. Now you can see the watermark is fairly light, and I had it set to center and I also had it set to small. I can increase the size of it to a medium or large, so we'll go ahead and set it to large. Do another preview, and now I have a large watermark. I can increase the transparency or decrease the transparency. So you can adjust that setting to whatever density that you would like. The tab positions, if you set these tab positions will be set in your quick text and on your note field within the inspection if you want to use those, or you can just leave them blank. The next area, scrolling on down, is our status boxes. If your report definition is using status boxes, then within this, they're going to define each of the status boxes that you set up and how many of them. You can position these to the left of the report, and these will go, in this case, full left justified to the leftmost margin. I can also set the label position to only print at the top of the page. So currently this report or this report layout, you'll see I have the label position at the top of the page. My text is going to be full left justified. I can change the position to left column and put my label position above each status. Now you see the label position is above each status box. My comments are now left justified to the inspection item. I can put my status box above and left justify, which means it's going to go above my inspection item. So now my inspection item and my comments associated with it will be left justified. My status box will be above it. My label position will be above it. So it makes more use of the entire page width. The final setting would be to right justify the status box. So now the status box will be on the right margin. So a number of options there depend on how you want to set it up. The next item is the legend. And we have a checkbox here whether or not you want to use a legend. The legend is going to be this area just below the header on your report page, which will define what your status boxes mean. So you can turn that on or off. So now my legend is taken off the report. The final two fields is the system label and the inspection item label. System label is going to be your major systems. This resides within a cell. To select the cell, put your cursor right at the top of the cell until you see the down arrow mark, and then right click, and then you can format that. Right now I have the background color as light gray. I don't have a border around it. So when it prints, this is what you will see. On this particular one, I labeled the system label in a text color of red. I can increase the font size, change my font. And we can do the same thing with the inspection item label. It resides in a cell, so within that cell I can make any changes to it. On my system label, you'll notice that I centered it. So I came out center in the report. So each of my major systems will show up as centered. My inspection items are left justified. If you accidentally delete or erase a system label or an inspection item label, to recover that, I'm going to go ahead and delete system label. Now you'll see that the table is missing, my system label is missing. I can't come in and just type in my left arrows and put in system name. First I have to recreate my table. So I'm going to select insert, create a table, and it's a one column, one row table. I click back into the table, and on the left side here is the SysIN system and inspection labels. You click that. I select my system label and click insert, and that puts my system label back into my table. And then I can go back and reset this to what I had it to. So now I have it back to the way it was. The status boxes, when you first design your report definition, the number of status boxes that will show up here are defined by how many status boxes that you defined when you first created your report. If you come back at a later time and you go into Edit, you create a new version and add a new status box, if you made any changes to these status boxes, like putting a border where I can select it, select all the cells, and I can right-click again, Format Table, and maybe I wanted to put a grid around it. So if I've modified this field and I try to add a new status box, it's not going to automatically add it to this section for you if you've modified this. So if you need to add a new status box after you've modified this, grab your right margin divider, drag it over, and you will have to manually come in and move these cells to smaller cells so that you can add a new one at the end. And I'll just go ahead and briefly do this. We're going to move these over to about 1 1/4 inch. And select the cell, then right-click, and I'm going to insert a column to the right. And then I have to put in my status box and my status box legend into this. So I'm going to select my legend fields. If I've added a new box, then that's going to be box 5. So I'm going to select status box label 5, insert it. Then I have to do an equal sign, and then do my status box 5 legend after it. So now status box label equals status box 5 legend. And if I didn't use the full width, I could expand these out so that they come across equal. If I had not modified this legend field and I went back and defined a new definition and added one, it would automatically insert that for you. Now, since I don't have a definition on my definition page, this came out as blank. So that concludes setting up the report layout. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to give us a call at 800-975-3017, or you can create a ticket on our web page under support, or you can click on the online help on the website, and if we're online, we can start up a chat session. Thank you.